For years now, the Quebec government has been tightening rules around vaping, banning flavored products, restricting advertising, trying to limit access for minors. Despite all those efforts, new numbers suggest the situation still moving in the wrong direction. Recent report shows that vaping among young Quebecers remains alarmingly high. In fact, it's now twice as popular with teens as it was only a few years ago. So big question today, if tougher laws, awareness campaigns, school initiatives haven't slowed down the trend, what will it take to reverse course on this one? Flory Doucas joins us now, co-director, spokesperson of the Quebec Coalition for Tobacco Control. Flory, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me, Ilya. Thanks.
How discouraging are these numbers?
Well, let me just put things a little bit in perspective, because it's actually not higher than it was last year or the year before in terms of youth vaping. But what is the trend, where the trend is maintaining itself, is that vaping among youth is twice as popular among youth as it is among adults. And so it is generally a youth phenomenon. This is despite the industry's claims that vaping products are meant for adult smokers, for smokers who want to quit or switch to an alternative. So these products are still very gimmicky and very appealing to youth. But that's where the report comes in and tells us some good news. And it's actually saying that despite the fact that the regulations are imperfect, and we'll talk about that in a moment, youth vaping is declining. So in Quebec, it's gone from 20% in 2022 to 17% in 2023. And you have to remember that in October 2023 is when we have the regulation to ban flavored vaping products in the province. And then a year later, so in August 2024, it's down to 13%. So that's a good trend, and we're seeing that in Quebec, whereas in other provinces among youth, youth vaping is remaining stable at 14-15%. So the regulations, whether it's the one on flavors and the taxation, because there are taxes now on vaping products in Quebec, actually across the country, but Quebec was one of the provinces to move in early on, are having an effect. And this is despite the fact that they're imperfect. And what the report tells us is that how imperfect? Well, pretty imperfect, because youth and adults continue to have access to flavored vaping products. But despite the fact that the regulation is not perfect, we're still seeing some impact, and that's the good news.
So let me just ask you about that comparison, like with other provinces, right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get to, okay, does this prove that our regulations are worthwhile or not? Because other provinces without these onerous rules now have similar rates, right? I think you were saying 13% Quebec, 14%, 15% in Ontario. That's just about the same thing, yet those provinces don't have the rules. So I'm just trying to figure out if the rules are useful or if there's something else going on.
Well, it depends where you came from, right? What did you have originally? And Quebec had higher rates of youth vaping than did Ontario. And so we were moving just from a harder challenge than in Ontario. The rates are still quite high. They're much higher than smoking rates among youth. And this is for a product that's only been on the market for now 10 to 15 years. So although we've made great strides with respect to tobacco and conventional products, we're seeing that the industry's marketing and its new generation products, which is vaping and now even the nicotine pouches, those are leading to just as much nicotine addiction, if not more. Actually, there's more people using nicotine products now than there were 10 years ago.
Wow.
So it's very alarming.
Jeez. So every time you see maybe a glimmer of hope, there's some new there's some new product, right, to get kids on nicotine.
There are, and I think that this report, there's a lot of things that it didn't inform us. It kind of confirmed the fact that we've been relatively successful in ordering flavored products from other provinces. So this is not about getting flavored vaping products from reserves. This is about getting them from online stores or brick and mortar stores in other provinces, including Ontario and Alberta. And products made by large, well-known manufacturers, okay? So industry is doing its best to circumvent the vaping regulations in Quebec. It's the same thing for New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. And this is what the report is confirming. We're also seeing online sales have tripled just from 2023 to 2024 when the regulation took effect among youth. It went from 5% to 16% purchases. And that's just for the kids that are buying them, for the youth that are buying them directly. Others will use other people.
But how do we stop that part? And I've spoken to teachers who have to deal with the kids who are vaping, right? And they're like, they just order it online. So they say these regulations, didn't really stop anything because they just order the stuff online.
So, look, it's, I agree to some, the good news is that it did do something, okay? And so this is about kind of starting to close the tap among younger generations. It's not fully closed, that's for sure, but at least we're not seeing a stabilization, which means when vaping rates are remaining the same, it means that there's new recruits replacing the kids that are getting older and that have become adults and that have left that youth market. Now we're actually seeing a decline. So that's the good news. But I agree with you that the online sales is a huge problem. And in that respect, this is in the federal government's court. Mm-hmm. And somebody is sleeping at the wheel here. We've waited since 2021 for federal vaping flavor regulations. It was announced in big pomp by the federal government. More than 4 years ago. The regulations still haven't been finalized. The federal government bans interprovincial tobacco sales. That's been done for over 20 years. It hasn't done the same thing for vaping products. So there is a problem. We're not modernizing our laws and the framework for these products when the industry is continuously evolving and modernizing its products to escape the existing regulations.
Flory, I have to leave it there. I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Have a good day.
You too. Flory Doucas is from the Quebec Coalition for Tobacco Control.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years. And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.